Let me try this recording again. Previously I did it, and at one point you would, the recording, you hear me say, "Oh, and the music's getting too loud." But then when I was listening to the playback, I didn't have any of the audio from the game. It was just me speaking. You had the visuals, but none of the sound of the game. So at this point, I've actually have the music shut off, and we can see a little bit. This is actually on my Minecraft server. What you may not see as I'm browsing here, I have on another window, not another window, another monitor. My server is actually on a different box here locally in the house. It just is in our own home network. It's not something you can find out on the internet. Well, on my server, I can see on the other monitor, it can't keep up. It's an old computer I repurposed to be the server. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just this latest patch to Minecraft introduces some new cool features and some upgrades to the game, and that old machine just can't keep up with it. Okay, probably the best way to get across. A lot of this is incomplete. Eventually, this would have been covered. At this point, I'm not sure I'm going to continue building this. I was building this before I got distracted with Empyrion Galactic Survival, which I very much enjoyed playing stuff. But I was building this first before I got into that game, and I got distracted playing that different game, and so I kind of held off. But coming through here, going to get some contrast here with this. Get an idea, perhaps, an idea of some of the scale of some of the Minecraft building that I tend to do. I'm not like some of the people that build some really, really fancy and big stuff, but yet it is still fairly big. If we look over here, we see I better want to be careful about taking a fall from here. Might hurt a bit. That's actually one of my children's workings back there, up in the trees, a tree house behind. But this wall around this complex, I was building a complex here. Stuff. Here's a bunch of this is my egg farm. It turns out that I probably could have gotten away with maybe just 1 or 2 of these instead of 4 chicken pens, because I usually don't even touch the eggs. The only reason they're not completely full and a ton of eggs sitting there up with the chickens is because I had my custom egg thrower here. A bunch of redstone work I experimented with, built in Creative, and then copied over here into my survival game. I don't use any of the fancy tricks and that stuff, so it was a very manual process of rebuilding it here. But it's a custom egg thrower. Let's see if there's any. Let's go grab a few stacks of eggs. Let's make some room. I'll go back and grab these in a moment. There we go. Throw them in here. It's feeding them through. It's currently. I can turn it off. But if I turn it back on, it'll start feeding them again in just a moment, and then I'll start spitting them out. I'll pick these things back up. Not sure why I'm holding them, but we'll just... and it's basically my custom egg thrower. It's not any more efficient on hatching the eggs than throwing them yourself, but except it saves me a lot of throwing. I just load up a number of stacks in there and just keep throwing. Granted, I did discover that if I got enough chickens in here, it would start creating problems with my server that it couldn't keep up. So I could overwhelm it. But I've killed off a lot of the chickens here. This is not the quantity that should overwhelm my server. So at least previously to this patch. So the stuff that we're saying when I'm reading on the screen, it can't keep up. Tells me that this latest patch has impacted the load on the server. And so now my server can't keep up like it used to. Oh, we saw a little glitch there. It says, oh, on the server says, I moved too quickly, and then stuff. Can't keep up. And I'm like, I wasn't moving that fast, but again, the load on the server is shifted, and it's having trouble keeping up. So this is a fair bit of a complex here. One of my daughters built their own little building there, stuff. So that would be something I would just work around because they're my children. As a dad, you know, I'm not. I said they could build in there, and not many have built in there, so I probably would end up just reclaiming a lot of it and building around my daughter's little building, which I think is actually the top to a mine shaft, which is interesting considering that this building actually goes down a fair bit itself. This only goes down this far. I was going to build some various things in these rooms. This is a room that goes up a little bit here. You know, this is grab the shears, and here you have a whole lot of vines growing here. I've gone to a swamp, found or a jungle, I think is actually what I went to. Grab some vine pieces, and then had that all set up. You know, put that setup together to basically plant those vine pieces, and make myself a whole carpet of those, so that I could then, you know, do mossy bricks and stuff like that. Here, my cow farm, it's not terribly fancy. One of my daughters didn't realize that you weren't supposed to kill these cows, that you'd breed them. It would feed the babies down into here, and you'd slaughter the babies there. So she had slaughtered a bunch of cows, so I had to go and repopulate the cows to fill that up. So this is going to be workings of some automated furnaces, which I might show you in my creative game. But considering the server is being overwhelmed, and I may have to look to either transfer this to another server or to another computer to run the server, or I'm going to be looking at completely redoing this with the new content stuff. Of course, here we have our portal to the Nether. Loading terrain any day now. This is another situation the server can't. Whoa, what happened? Oh, whoa, finally it caught up with me. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, the server is definitely this new patch is it's met its match. Old machine. Now there's a portal there that I came through, and there's actually a portal up here to another one of my buildings far away. Why don't we go take a look and see that massive building? If my server can, come on. Okay. This part of the building isn't that massive. It's, if we go in here, and it's probably not so apparent how big this building is. So I think what I'm going to need to do is remember where the bed is. There's a bedroom in here. Oh yes, it's up the stairs. Up the stairs, up the stairs. Find... I tore out the bedroom. Where did I put the bedroom? Where did I put the bedroom? Oh dear. It was here. It was here. I tore out the bedroom. Where did I... Oh, I know. I remember where I put it. I had the bedroom so long. I got that... I'd forgotten I'd moved it. I moved it to near where this portal comes out. My new entrance to the building, a new lobby and stuff. And so we have our portal room, and over here is the bedroom. Okay. Now, the part of the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted to be able to safely come out here. I'm doing a demonstration, a tour of this place, not a demonstration of how terrible I am at combat in Minecraft. So, and the reason I'm coming out here is to give you a more of a scale of the building underneath the ground. To give you an idea, as we wander here, this fence line of sorts actually marks the outline of the building. This is actually the outline of the building underneath the ground. Oh, there was a skeleton there. Ignore me, skeleton. And apparently it is. So this is actually the scale of the building under the ground. Okay. And the building. Okay, I hadn't quite finished scaling everything out, but that corner over there poking out of the water, and it goes to here somewhere. So we follow that line, and it joins up with that wall. So probably this other corner is somewhere around here. Stuff to give you a scale of this building underneath the ground. You can see it that underneath the water there. You can kind of faintly see that is the roof of one of the chambers of the building. If I had continued scaling this building up, part of the reason you're seeing some of those walls sticking through the ground is because eventually, if I'd kept building this building, it was going to go up. The reason I was building a new entrance over there is this section here was probably going to get scrapped as the building came up and claimed that space. So, and I think the walls, they're actually a little distant, so the building is a little smaller than that, but the walls do define roughly where the building is. And then if we get a scale of this building here, I didn't really go down in the other building all the way down. We'll make our way back to that building. The stuff is part of our tour of the server. This might be a kind of a memento tour, especially if I end up, redoing things, totally redoing things. You may be able to hear monsters a little bit, because this is actually a monster spawning building. This section up here is all lit up because this is not where the monster is supposed to be spawning. We are standing on top of the room. There's actually roughly 4 large chambers on several levels here for this building. One side of the building is more completed than the other. So only one side is actually active for the monsters. The other side was a work in progress stuff. In between the monster chambers, I had built some farms, and so you see some farms built in here. But essentially, these are water channels that the monsters would be filtered down into, and they fall down here. There's actually some redstone works on this, that if I were to close that, and that was our basic indication that now that's closed, that indicates that it would now catch the monsters. The monsters aimed for this channel are no longer being fed down the whole system. But so let's just put the channel, open that channel back up. Monsters fall down. Stuff. This side, the monsters are cut off. I wonder if this side isn't complete or something. I don't remember why that side's shut off. I don't know. Maybe it was someone playing around. My children playing on the server. Maybe one of them shut it off. Pumpkins and railroads. So we have pumpkin farming here and our railroad station. The railroad station is not complete as to what I had planned it to be, but at least the basic is in place. In this case, I want to say that I was part of the monster chamber beneath actually got reserved for redstone works for the railroad. But the exact details of that, I'm not exactly just going to go ripping into there to try to figure out how that railroad was working. Hopefully I'd left myself another access into there, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time poking around, trying to remember how that was going. It might also be possible that I had actually planned that that was accessible. Let's see, there should be a sugar cane, and we might actually see, this is where the redstone work would go to finish it up. And so the monster chamber normally would have come up clear over here, but I chopped it off a little bit to put in that railroad stuff. So we're going down. If you're paying attention up above, it said like 57 or something like that. To give you an idea how many layers of blocks we're going down on this chamber thing, we're to 27, 24. This stuff again, more underneath and above. More monster chambers. Lots of monster chambers. More work. More monster chambers, except now we're starting to get into the these are the final channels on this side. The other side is, as I said, is not as complete as this side. This side is actually operational stuff. Yeah, I may not carved everything out, but it is operational. It does come down, feeding into this central, better watch the lava there, into this central chamber where I could then go through a sword pretty darn fast, quite often, because this chamber here would fill up with a bunch of monsters. I might have to be careful about the creepers, but usually if I was careful, I could kill the creepers without having too many of them go off. Everything would then be caught down into here. You see my gunpowder. Nice collection going on. So we can take our stairs back up. So this mine shaft all the way down to the bedrock. And this thing went, as I said, this is actually a fairly large building underneath the ground. So let's go up. Wait. Did we go past the railroad? Pumpkins Railroad. Let's take the railroad instead of going back to the nether, because they... Okay. We're going to... I do not remember which way is back to the other building. I did a lot of exploring on this world. And stuff. Oh, it's going to have some problems with this. One of my underwater passages. Yeah, this poor server. The poor server. Oh, that passage. Entertaining story with that passage. As I recognize this passage here. Poor server can't keep up with this latest update. Oh, it used to be so much better than this. Okay, this is a rail station. This rail station actually is completed, or mostly completed. Most of the other rail stations in here are not. They're works in progress. But this is a rail station. If we're to get out of this rail station, we'll find... I had actually initially started exploring the world above, and then took the time to carve that nice long tunnel stuff. But if we look at the world... Yeah, okay, we have a little farm. So I built little farms along the way. Stuff. This is basically just across the water from that tower. That's the first. That's where my monster building is, underneath the hillside, with the little tower here. That is actually near the initial spawn point. The first, when you first enter the game or respawn after death, if you didn't have a bed where you had recently slept. So. Yeah, that, but wait, it's still daytime. I can show you the, well, wait a minute. I think there's some stairs over here. I can show you without actually leaving the building here. This is carved under here through the hillside. But if you look over here, and there's actually a trail I carved through the landscape so I could find my way. Because when I first was playing this game, I would die and lose my maps. I was making maps, and I'd be out there, and I'd die, and I'd lose my maps. So I started like, okay, I'm blazing a trail, so when I die, I can find my map that I dropped. It was like the most precious thing of all the stuff I dropped when I died was probably the map. So okay. So one of those things where I went out on my way to try to preserve the maps. Oh, and this is brings me to the other side of that railroad. Do I have a door? I hope I have a door out into this chamber. Please let there be a door. Yes. Okay. Because I'm gonna go on a ride here. I want stuff will go. Yes, the server's having trouble, but I'm moving too fast on the rail cart. I assure you, the server did not have this problem before the update. I guess it just Minecraft has become too hungry for it. Cannot keep up. Oh, poor thing. I want to cry. The poor server. It was a great way to reuse an old computer that was actually still fine. Just, Here's one of the rail stations in progress. Let's grab the other cart. We could have gone up the stairs and checked out this area and stuff. I just wanted to give you an idea here of some of the rail works. Another depot. Okay. Oh, come on, poor server. I'm not going to ask you this of you too much. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to retire you. Oh, poor thing. Poor thing. You could handle Minecraft before, but not no more. Okay, and I think we're approaching the end of the line. This isn't the end of the tunnels here. As I said, I had actually done quite a bit of exploring on this map. So I go over here, and I want to say on this branch this way, somewhere over here is the Jungle Temple. I can't remember if it's directly on this branch or if I just go close to it. The thing is, the Jungle Temple, I ended up tearing it down and totally starting to rebuild it into something of my own creation. And it's the destruction cannot be undone so easily. And look, I found a spot where it was a whole bunch of obsidian. I believe that there was water leaking into there, and I ended up having to plug the water for that place to be safe, for me to go without drowning. But once I did it, it was a whole bunch of obsidian. Of course, it might be easier to just go find some lava and, just try and, create obsidian where I need it. Oh, here we go, another turn here, and I believe that the Jungle Temple. over that way, or what's left of what after my destruction thereof, my deconstruction. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is that over there is where the jungle temple used to be, and stuff. So I'd actually explored quite a bit this way, and we're gonna go back to the other stuff. There's actually a far more that I'd explored. Of course, you know, considering that all the stuff that could potentially be underground, hidden, and concealed in caves and tunnels, there's really a lot of content that I had not uncovered in my journeys. And oh yes, no, I don't want to go out that. Hello. I am looking for. Okay, took all the way down the bedrock here. What? Dang it all! I got myself lost. I should have paid more attention. Okay, these doors are into a nice, lovely cave system. Abandoned mine apparently, and I want to say that there's several I had found. And from the noise there, I'm guessing I hadn't fully explored that one. Okay, here we go. Here we're back to our tunnel system. Let's see, this is the right one to go. Am I wandering? You have to deal with the unfortunate journey of me wandering all the way back. Let's see. Yes, several places where I did underwater tunnels. Oh, the interesting story, as I forgot to tell you, didn't I? The interesting story about that one tunnel that I was saying. Oh, that was an interesting story with the tunnel, and then I got distracted and did not share the story. The interesting story of that other tunnel with the rail, and we'll be going back through that tunnel once I can find my way back to the rail cart, is that there was one time, there's the two rail carts. One time one of my daughters ended up, she was using the rail system, and there was one cart in front of her that was going along on the track. So the other cart was in front of her, and an Enderman's got stuck in it. And so the Enderman was going along on the rail, going for a ride, and then when it went through the underwater tunnel, so it's perfectly safe, but going through that glass enclosed tunnel through the water, she said that the Enderman was hissing, looking around and hissing at the water. And so she thought it was an interesting experience with the Enderman trapped in the cart, in the mine cart, and going through the tunnel, surrounded by its much hated enemy of water. Above, below, and to the sides. So yeah, there we go. Well, it seems to be doing a little better on the return journey. But the thing is, even when I've loaded the game before in the past, when I haven't journeyed through these in a while, it usually hasn't been a problem. So I'm really thinking that, the poor server's having some troubles with this. As I said, I've actually, what I've had is I've had myself and 2 of my children on, and so we'll be in different areas. We'll be stuff, and I haven't had this problem before, so I really think it's the. I really don't think it can handle this latest. Okay, and we're having the problems again because we're going into an area. Not as bad, but still having some trouble with me. Now this path, this tunnel should be taking me back to that other building. And the tunnel goes on a bit further, but it really is just a dead end down there a little bit. One of my children's dogs. I'm not sure whose it is. Poor dog was left there in the corner while they probably went and rode the cart system. Okay. That over there, we're going to take a quick run over here. This is my iron golem trap. Down underneath there is where you'd actually retrieve the iron. There's actually a tunnel going to the lower levels of that building. I didn't take you down I took you down to where the, I want to say I took you down to where the cows were and stuff, but there's actually several other levels that are not completely dug out that I was going to dig out and have more farms and more stuff like that down below underneath. And then there was one of those levels that it came over to the where you could actually retrieve the iron from this trap. Let's see. Typically, I would close this behind me. Open this up. And I had leveled up a bunch of these villagers up here, so I really enjoyed trading with these villagers. I've seen iron golem traps that just basically have little pockets, but I really like the going through, trading with the villagers, leveling them up. So, these my little villagers here. At least one of them, I could get a diamond pickaxe. So I would trade with some of the other villagers to earn the resources, to then trade with the other villager to get a diamond pickaxe. So I, essentially had an unlimited supply of diamond pickaxes without, having to use up the diamond I found. This was going to be eventually a much more beautiful village farm. The stuff where I'd have a lot more villagers and stuff, and there was going to be some buildings out here that would encourage the zombie attacks that are associated with villagers to happen out here, where they would be much less of a threat to the floating village. So this was very much a work in progress. It was a long, pardon me on that, a long ways from being completed. So basically that building was going to get a double over here. There was going to be several buildings. Everything was going to be planned out so that there would be many doors, and it would look, it looked nice to me. I was growing these trees here, so that I didn't have to keep going back to the forests to get the wood to build some of my buildings and this stuff. So it was those were going to go away. That was going to be the iron golem trap there in the center, and it was an ambitious plan. And if I get to my creative game, you'll see some of the thoughts, experimentation, potential building concepts and stuff. So if we look, there's our long these little arms off of here were to measure to make sure I was not putting these villages too close to each other. I wanted them to be, if I had properly measured them, that they would be two separate villages and would not overlap their lines or their circumference. This is that nice long chamber, or I mean nice long tunnel under the water. There's our tower for the one building. I've actually explored a lot more of this world, which was part of the reasons I'm considering that this little tour might be kind of a final. Well, I might play a little more with this server, but it may be kind of a final farewell to this thing. One, because the server's, the computer's having so much trouble keeping up with this latest patch. But since I'd explored such a large area of the map, it did mean that any of the new content, I'd have to find a unexplored, and since there's a lot of new water content, another new unexplored portion of the ocean. And there were unexplored portions of the ocean. They're not that close. Okay. So some of these maps, might are various zoom levels, stuff to highlight different things. Let's see if I can find my master world map. Okay. Come on. This is going to be some bedrooms and a major map room and stuff. I think this might actually be the master map. I think that was the one where it's zoomed out as much as I can and stuff. And I want to say that to get my villagers, I had to up in this far, and it was a long way on the canoe. It was a long way. It's one of those things where, fortunately, at that time, you didn't have as many water threats because the water content hadn't been. You didn't have, what do they call them, the drowned now or something like that. So you didn't have the zombies and that sort of stuff really in the water. So the only real water threat was the underwater temples, at least the ones I knew of. And so it was one of those things, as long as I stayed out my canoe in the water and had plenty of food, I could explore the shoreline and try to stuff. And so I found the village up in this far upper left corner is where I found the village, and I was able to transport a couple villagers. And since it was a long journey, I just grabbed 2 villagers, and then I had them brought them down for their new little home down here, and let them multiply and fill the iron golem trap, where I then leveled them up much more reasonable to my facilities. And so yeah, and then of course some of the unexplored territory is down over here. I think this map doesn't cover it, but I actually pushed down on the bottom left corner to find some new content and really see that the new ocean content is really beautiful. It looks so beautiful. But to look at all this water I had already previously explored, and so none of this, other than the new fishes and being able to encounter drowned and the mobs, there's no other real beautiful sea life. None of the coral, none of the kelp, none of the seaweed, nothing that really beautifies the ocean floors in the game. So it was one of those things like, oh, so much explored. Granted, I was a lot of exploring I did to find that village, the stuff, so I could actually grab myself a couple villagers. And stuff. But as you can see here, we have some of my children's buildings nearby here. You can see the other side of this, a little better view of my building here. You know, size and scale of it above ground. That was extending down into the ground. You know, many layers below. That I was going to put basically a roof over that. That wasn't going to go any higher, and nor was this. This is, you know, this was going to be the capping room here, with some bedrooms and stuff. But again, this might be a fond farewell to this server. I won't be shutting it off yet, but I'm not sure. You know, it's not keeping up, and with the new content, it really beautifies the ocean, and I'm like, so much of this ocean missing that new beautification. You might say, well, there's some seaweed over there. You can, you know, if you look in the water, if you can, you might be able to see this. That kelp. I went and found that kelp in the new area, and then I transplanted here just to try out, see what it be like. I also grabbed some sea cucumbers, transplanted them here. So there's some of the content. I went, found that new area, looked at it. Oh, it's so beautiful, and I brought some of it over here. But again, most of this ocean is just, you know, do I really want? Yeah, I could just beautify this area right next to these, and that is a possibility. And just finish these things up here. But yeah, as far as all the pumpkins lighting up here, this isn't because I'm planning to make this another room on top of there. This was mostly so that monsters wouldn't spawn on top of this structure, and until I could get a roof built. So, in which case then I'd probably be putting lights on the roof so that the monsters didn't spawn on the roof. But yeah, no, this is my prior save game. My kids were building in that swamp there. I had found another swamp a little further on, beyond there, that if I was to build another monster trap, that's where I was going to build it, so I have a chance at slimes for slime balls. No, this is my Minecraft server. I haven't been playing on this much. I've been playing Minecraft a lot lately, and distracted by Minecraft, but it's not on this server. I'm going to cut this video here, so it'll be a separate video where I go into some of the stuff I played with, the new content, and some of my creative works. Okay.